After World War II, the coal companies were starting to get into financial trouble. Coal was no longer needed in the mass quantities that it was before. Shortly before, during, and after World War II, the U.S. government was looking into ways of turning coal into fuel for cars. While the method for synthetic fuel would prove to be very expensive, it was plausible. Come along with us as the U.S. government gets involved in the process of turning coal into fuel to run the nation, and how this idea could have saved the coal industry. All aboard the Kentucky Tennessee Living Time Machine. Please fasten your seatbelts and keep your arms and legs inside of the vehicle at all times. But to get going, we still need your help. We still need to fire up that time machine to transport us. Please help us by clicking on the like, subscribe, and bell notification buttons down below. Not only does this fire up the time machine, but it convinces the YouTube algorithm that we need a bigger time machine to reach more people who love history as much as you do. Now, back to our story. Synthetic Liquid Fuels Act. Between the years of 1928 and 1944, there had been some experimentation with coal to transfer it to liquid fuel. It was thought by crushing up coal and then adding water or other chemicals to the mix that it could serve as a feasible means of supplying fuel in case of a sudden loss of oil. The laboratory of Central Experiment Station in Pittsburgh, adjoining the campus of Carnegie Institute of Technology, located around Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, was the first that was constructed for this type of research in the United States. By 1937, this laboratory was able to use 100 pounds of continuous coal a day. During World War II, this company would be transferred to the military for further research and development. Also, during World War II, it was thought that the need for oil consumption could lead to future trouble for the nation. America was pumping as fast as it could to meet the demands of war, but it simply was not enough. The demand for oil was increasing while the supply was decreasing. Something had to be done just in case the oil reserves ran out. Even with homeland rationing, the war effort was just too great to overcome. It was none other than Germany that had come up with the idea of using coal to manufacture a synthetic fuel as a primary fuel source. General Patton would often take this fuel from captured tanks and vehicles to keep his troops and tanks moving to roll over and take Europe during World War II. A subcommittee of the House Committee on Mines and Mining held hearings on the production of gasoline, rubber, and other materials from coal during June and July of 1942. In August of 1943, the committee met again with another round of hearings held by the U.S. Senate Committee on Public Lands and Surveys. To prove the point that this was a workable solution to any future oil crisis in America, in November of 1943, then a West Virginia Congressman, Jennings Randolph, flew an all synthetic fuel powered airplane from Morgantown to Washington, D.C. This successful trip was able to prove that the machinery could be run using synthetic fuels. The Synthetic Liquid Fuels Act was created on April 5th, 1944, with the aid of Interior Secretary Harold Ickes and U.S. Senator Joseph O. Mahoney. The Synthetic Liquid Fuels Program would be created and granted $30 million for this project. In 1945, the companies under this act would be transferred from the military to the Synthetic Liquids Fuel Program. By 1949, plant formerly called the Missouri Ordnance Works was producing close to 200 barrels of oil a day using the Bergius process. The Bergius process is a method of production of liquid hydrocarbons for the use as synthetic fuel by hydrogenation of the high volatile bituminous coal at high temperatures and pressure. While this process looked promising, it was not enough of a daily yield to be useful. So the government went into a different direction. In 1945, the Missouri Ordnance Work in Missouri was constructed to make a synthetic ammonia. We really could not find out very much about the Missouri Ordnance Works for this particular project. However, they did exist, and we did find out information about the Weldon Springs Ordnance Works in Missouri that dealt with the production of dynamite and the production of uranium for Oak Ridge that would make the nuclear bombs named Little Boy and Fat Man. We place the information about Weldon Springs in our description box if it is a topic that you wish to further explore. But for the context of this video, Weldon Springs didn't seem to be involved in the production of synthetic fuels. In 1948, the Synthetic Liquids Fuel Program was extended for 8 more years, and the United States government increased their funding to $60 million into the project. A new laboratory was constructed in Louisiana that would focus using the Fischer Tropsch process. This process is where carbon monoxide and hydrogen are mixed into hydrocarbons. This process is important for coal liquefaction. The laboratory was completed in 1951 and only produced 950 barrels of fuel. This was not sufficient as the U.S. government was expecting at least an output of 5,000 barrels a day. In 1953, Republican-led House Appropriations Committee ended the program and turned the research and the Missouri plant back to the Department of the Army. It would not be until the 1973 oil crisis that the program was started up again to solve the problems of relying on oil production. After World War II, the United States once again had a sort of resurgence of the Industrial Revolution. However, coal once again was put into the background, being only used to heat homes, used in steel production and industry. It would also be used to help light the United States with the coal-fired electrical production plants. As more dependence upon other sources of fuel came into focus, the coal industry began its spiral downward. This spiral would lead to the bankruptcy case of Consolidation Coal Company and the Elkhorn Coal Corporation in the 1950s. How synthetic fuel could have changed history. The need for coal has dwindled over the years. But there could have been a way for these companies to meet the demand of 5,000 barrels a day in their production, then we could have had an alternative to burning oil in our cars. Now that we have cleaner ways to burn coal, and it is more efficient as a burning source of heat, this would have been a perfect match for cars to get better mileage. Or perhaps there could have been a way to make it less expensive, and many miners would still be employed as they would be needed to get the coal. But sadly, this was not to be. While there has been a resurgence of the research into using coal for an alternative fuel several times since World War II, there really has not been any large gains in the production or cost. We will also state, without being political, that the environmental question has also played a huge part in the abandonment of such projects in any serious manner. Thank you. Kentucky Tennessee Living would like to thank you for watching our video series on the scandals of the Consolidation Coal Company. Don't forget to hit that like button, as the more likes we receive, the more likely YouTube is to suggest our videos to other viewers. Also, to receive notice when we upload a new video, be sure to subscribe and click the bell notification button. Please be sure to double check that you are subscribed, as some of our viewers are finding that they are no longer subscribed to our channel. We thank you for continuing to support Kentucky Tennessee Living as we are discovering the mysteries in Appalachian history.